Right. Well, it's Easter, or should I say it was Easter about 5 days ago. Okay, I can't believe how quick everything is going, to be honest. We've just had Easter, and we've also got the local elections coming up in May, which means that over the last week and from now, at the time of me recording this, until the next episode through April, up until May the 7th, when there's a knock at the door, or when I pop down the shops to get some essentials, there's more chance of me having to interact with someone who's canvassing in the name of Jesus, or supposedly for the good of the community and the country, in their blue suits, brown shoes, with their perfectly trimmed beards, that, you know, think that just because I'm working class and a regular Joe, that I'm stupid enough to believe that they got my interests, my best interests at heart. Oh, can I could see you having trouble walking, sir. Can I minister you and tell you about our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ? No, not really, no. Okay, you asked me the same thing Christmas time, and last Easter, and the Christmas, and Easter before that. Okay, you and another two of your sketchy-looking disciples put your hands on me without my consent when I was walking to the shops, and said that you were going to heal me. That's what you said. You said, I'm going to heal you, and with the power of God, I am going to take this ailment away. That's exactly what you said. Okay, well, yeah, here I am. I'm still hobbling around on a walking stick, and I'm feeling shittier than I was back then in mid-December, because I'm having to face the possibility that this is going to be permanent when I want to get back out there. Okay, and not that I believed you in the first place, but seeing as you and another two other sketchy-looking fellas approached me, and you don't remember me because you've probably approached so many people in so many different areas and cured them of so many ailments that all our faces have blended into one. And unless this is a checkup to see if any of your fucking superstitious horse shit has worked, fuck, you're simply just getting in my way and harassing me. So please, I suggest that you and your two disciples keep your fucking hands off me this time, because my patience is wearing very, very fucking thin with your kind, okay? And there's a very big chance that I will be wrapping this walking stick around all your fucking heads, okay? Get the fuck out of my personal space. So stop it with all your born-again Christian bullshit. Okay, it makes me fucking cringe. Oh, I'm going to use the power of God to heal you. Yeah, right. You know, I'm not convinced. You know, the only way you could get me to listen to your shit is if you paid me to listen, or offered me a private hand job alone without these two fucking weirdos watching. Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll be there. No, it's no use. I can't come. Okay, even with my eyes closed and them waiting in the car outside, it still feels like they're both watching. Yeah, it's no use. Okay, I can't finish. All right, you're just gonna have to give me some money instead. Yeah, so either fucking pay me or step the fuck off my grill. Okay, because all I see is the fucking Antichrist. A sheep in wolf's clothes, a false prophet, a charlatan, con woman, serpent, fucking snake-eyed, sadistic extraordinaire, horrible, evil fucking cunt, pretending to be kind and thoughtful and leading people on with her rhetoric. You know, you're not bringing Christianity into people's lives. What you're doing is you're using Christianity to manipulate people into giving you either their time to spread the word about your born-again Christian ministry by handing out more of these fucking leaflets, and eventually donations will go to you, for you, or some other fucking serpent that you're in bed with. Yeah, and then like clockwork, right, as soon as they can see that you're not falling for their facade, right, they change gears with their sales pitch, and they throw some sort of doomsday scenario into the mix to make you feel either scared or guilty if you don't comply, because that's what the ex-pyramid salesman who runs the ministry has told them to do. Oh, if you can sense that the customer is losing interest, then make them feel like if they don't buy what you're selling, that they will suffer greatly, the future will be bleak, and that they will die horribly. I learned this back in the day when I was selling a cure for cancer and snake oil. You know, she's like, sir, take a look at the world. Okay, take a look at the world around you. You just have to turn on the news and you can feel that the end is nigh. And if you don't accept Jesus into your life now before it's too late, if you don't accept Jesus into your heart, you won't be allowed into the kingdom of heaven. And the end is nigh. No, the end is always nigh, you fucking stupid, patronising cow. What world you living in? Oh, thousands upon thousands of people die each day in this country, okay? It's the price we pay for having the privilege of being born, and there is no fucking escaping it. So stop using that as a way to scare me, okay? Because it's not working. You know, you're insulting my intelligence. That's what you're doing. You're insulting my fucking intelligence. I wanted to scream at her and just grab it and say, we all die at the end. Nobody wins the race. There's no prize. Okay, it's back to where you were at the beginning. Having other people wiping your ass as you stare at the ceiling, fucking dribbling. If you're lucky and we don't lose the NHS. But personally, I believe, okay, that while we're all in this human form, our job collectively, I think, is that no matter what fucking religion it is that you adhere to, no matter what religion, okay, whether it be Christianity, Hindu, Islam, Buddha, Jedi, fucking master, okay, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to realise that heaven is a place we're all meant to try and create amongst ourselves here on earth, okay? It really is that simple, in my opinion, but hey, what do I know? I'm a 52-year-old ex-drug addict recovering from a stroke, and I'm in a hell of my own making, so maybe I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. It's just a little bit more positive. You know, however, my dear, right now, okay, I'm not really concerned about popping my cogs and going through the gates of hell. Okay, I'm more worried about the two disciples you got standing on either side of you. Okay, that you've duped once again into helping you distribute your leaflets, that are standing on either side of me with a look in their eyes that has nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with benevolence or forgiveness. They're looking at me like they want to fuck me up. Okay, because I'm not taking your bait. And during their induction on how to recruit more people into your fucking cult, no doubt, they were obviously told in a roundabout way to be more pushy. And the only reason they're not standing over my unconscious body going through my pockets is because it's broad daylight in the middle of a housing estate, and they don't want to get recalled back to prison because they're both on probation, and this born-again Christian bullshit is just a way of getting a free cup of tea and a biscuit back at your headquarters before they fucking re-offend. You know, the vibe these born-again Christians give off is very far from being that of holy, or being that of being helpful. Okay, that's not what I'm getting when I'm forced to interact with these people. I don't sense much godliness in any of them, to be honest. I'm not really convinced that they're good. And next time they accost me, I'm going to let them know about it and not be so fucking tolerant. Sorry. But sorry, love, but you come across as a slimy businesswoman who is a main player at the top of an organisation that uses Christianity to make money by taking advantage of vulnerable people. Alright, and these two men that are following you around have reached a point in their lives where everybody has washed their hands of them. And this is the last chance saloon for the both of them. And in order to get them to do what you want them to do for your fucking ministry, you sometimes maybe flirt with these two unfortunates because it makes you feel powerful and boosts your ego, and they will do whatever it is you want them to do because they haven't got the brain power or the social skills to be discerning enough to realise when they're being played, and there's more chance of them actually experiencing the rapture, more than there is of you ever fucking them. And I get that sort of negative feeling with the majority of people that have to ram their religion down everybody's throat, and their politics or conspiracy theories. It's the same energy-sucking, draining void of having the need to control, terrorise and manipulate under the guise of being kind, caring and concerned for mankind or for the country or the world. I got the same vibe from a Hare Krishna the other week. After my appointment at the doctor when I was walking through the town centre. At first he's all peace and love, and then, approaching me with his Bhagavad Gita book, but as soon as I refused, oh no, sorry mate, it gets all pissy and annoyed, and I used to speak on his breath. He's, well, I was only trying to help you fat bastard. Anybody that tries to push their religious beliefs onto others or their political beliefs, especially these born again fucking idiots, alright, hiding behind a book from which they've memorised passages that help to justify their behaviour when they get called out, so that they can be forgiven to continue the exact same fucking behaviour. And that goes for these weirdos accosting me outside the local shops with their fucking leaflets, all the way up to those that are making a packet from it all, rolling in obscene amounts of money from giving false hope to those that have got hardly anything. Oh, well, yes, I know that it says that it'll be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven, but I have had a big 150-foot long needle made of solid gold mounted on my estate at the back of my $20 million mansion, and a camel would fit through its eye just fine. Yet when it's their turn to exercise forgiveness and understanding and a bit of humanity and some true compassion without prejudice, especially when there's nobody fucking watching, all of a sudden they found yet another loophole in their holy book that helps exonerate them from, practicing what they fucking preach. Fucking parasites. Man. And then when I start to walk away from these three born-again fucks, to go into the shop, okay? But because I'm about this close to giving the three of them a mouthful, but I'm thoughtful and considerate enough to not cause a scene in front of other people that are walking in and out of the shop, with their little children who are excited about Easter and looking forward to the Easter bunny bringing their chocolate eggs. And I don't like to see children upset or scared in any way, shape or form, okay? You know, so I'm walking a shot, and then one of these weirdos just pipes up in front of everyone as I'm walking away. Don't you want to go to the kingdom of heaven? Yeah, you don't want to go to hell, mate. Yeah, you don't want to go to hell. Yeah, you really don't want to go to hell, mate. Yeah. And, you know, it's like... I went to Lanramney High School in the 1980s, and I was the fat kid. I was the fattest kid in the whole of the school. Every summer, okay, I house sit for a friend for 2 weeks. 2 weeks in Newport. I'm only joking, friends from Newport. You know, 15 years ago, I went on a date with a woman, and I paid for the both of us to watch Sex in the City 2 at the cinema because she said she really wanted to see it. You know, so don't be talking to me about going to hell, because I've already been there, motherfucker. Man. Now, there's a red flag right there, though, by the way. Alright, if you meet a woman that has Sex in the City 2 in her movie collection, run away. Get the fuck out of there. Alright, regardless of how good she looks, or how sexy she is, you know, she's gonna be shallow, stupid, and boring as fuck, with absolutely no sense of humour or any real discerning taste with regards to what good entertainment actually is. You're the kind of person that gets excited about watching the Royal Variety performance on television every year and genuinely enjoys it. Or thinks that fucking Simon Cowell is a good thing for the British music industry. You know, typical British United Kingdom fucking numbskull. Man, you know, I went into that movie thinking it was going to be a standard 90 minutes running time, okay, at the most, including the end credits, because let's be honest, any human being that would want to watch a Sex in the City movie in a cinema has probably got the attention span of a goldfish. And I was under the impression that whoever the executives were in Hollywood that made this piece of shit film, that they would already know this way before the film went into production. 2.5 hours that movie's on for. 2 hours, 26 minutes to be precise. I felt every fucking second. Yeah, it was like being stuck in a bad dream and not being able to wake up. You know, I didn't want to check my phone because I'm a gentleman and I thought it would be rude, and I didn't have a watch at the time. You know, but by the time it got to what felt like was the 2 hour mark, I'm sat there, my ass aching like fuck, and I'm thinking, man, I hope that Samantha character gets kicked full force in the face by a fucking camel. Oh, that man back at the hotel has the strangest taking spunk. You know, spitting her teeth out, you know, onto the sand. Oh, who's gonna fuck me? Nobody's gonna fuck me now. I got no teeth. You know, I remember walking out of the cinema with my date, and she said, "Oh, did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy it? Oh, I really liked it." Really? Man, that's very telling. Okay, that's very telling to me indeed. Okay, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in myself for not getting up and walking out within the first 20 minutes, and I think it'd be best if I just continued to fuck my own hand for the foreseeable future. Alright, there's a tenner for your taxi. May I suggest you elevate your taste in films? I digress. What I was trying to say is that I never used to mind the two elderly Christian ladies that used to call around every Easter and Christmas in the past. Okay, they were lovely, always respectful. You know, they'd hand you a little red and white envelope and say, oh, we'll be collecting them in a week's time. And if you haven't got nothing to put in them, no worries at all. There's no need to worry, okay? Tell your mum not to worry yourselves. You know, because this Christian lady, she was an ex-doctor, okay, this woman. And I believe my mum was a nurse in the same hospital. And she knew my mother was bringing up 3 young children on her own with no family. Okay, you know, this woman was someone who'd experienced death and dedicated her life to helping people, and was fully aware of the fact that people, especially those on our estate in the 80s, were struggling. And not once, not one time ever, was there any mention of God, Jesus, or threats about not being able to get into the kingdom of heaven, or burning in hell. Not once. Not once. And we always made an effort to fill that envelope with as much spare change as possible. Okay? And we had fuck all back then. Me and my sisters, we'd be looking down the back of the settee, under the chairs, up in our bedrooms, under the bed. Okay? We'd be walking around the block, you know, looking for pennies that people may have dropped, and some of the other kids in the area too. You know, we'd all be comparing with each other to see how much we could get into all our respective envelopes to give to the nice Christian ladies when they came back around the estate the next weekend to collect. Because you could tell, just from their demeanour and the way that they spoke to the people that lived in the houses they knocked and the people that they approached in the street, you could tell that they were genuine Christians, okay, the real deal. You know, they never had to quote passages from the Bible to make you feel guilty, scared, or intimidated, you know, or to excuse them from backsliding. But you know, they lived by example, and acted in a manner that suggested they were good and they were Christian, without any of this fucking religious or politically affiliated fucking shit that's being used to fuck people's heads up and turn us all against each other for the benefit of those that, when the shit really does hit the fan, okay, they'll be sitting in the sun with their fucking feet up in some tax haven abroad, encouraging other people's children to fight their fucking battles and fly their fucking flags on the streets of a country they no longer live in, but, you know, claim to be standing up for, while they continue to sin and then be forgiven, raking our money, sin and be forgiven, sin and be forgiven, rinse and repeat until, you know, they're set up for life and they can afford to retire in the lap of luxury. And we're all still stuck on this island in the cold and the wet, you know, and stewing in our own bitterness and hatred, blaming everybody else for the state of our lives, when the real problem is we've given all our money away, and maybe we should just quit drinking. Okay? Get off the sniff. Stop believing everything you see on social media. You know, throw away your fucking smartphone. Get an old-fashioned Nokia like mine, you know, for only calls and texts. And concentrate more on the wants, needs and opinions of the people that are stood right in front of your fucking face. You know, the people that you have to share the same space with. Alright, whether that be in the home, at work or on the street, and treat them in the same way that you want to be treated, and hopefully they'll reciprocate and do the same. But, you know, be aware that there always will be and always has been people out there that want to hurt you and rip you off, okay? Whether it's because of fucking religion, fucking politics, or just for the thrill of it, because, you know, of good old-fashioned poor mental health and psychopathy. Fuck. Man. You know, I'm just speaking from my own experiences, alright? And everybody's experiences are different. I'm fully aware of that. Just don't expect me to tar everyone with the same brush just because that's what you do. Okay, I think for myself, thank you very much. I'll stand alone. I'd rather judge people on their character. Okay? I don't care what you believe or who it is you vote for or what colour your skin is, okay, you know, or what part of the world you're from. Okay, if you're a cunt, then you're a fucking cunt. And it's that on which I will judge you from. End of story. But no, you know, these two Christian ladies, all right, that used to collect the money. When we were growing up, okay, they were good people with good intentions. And you didn't mind giving because you knew, at the very least, felt like it was going towards helping someone. And that you yourself were being a good Christian. Now it's starting to feel more and more like those evangelical Christians you see in America, sending you money, cunts in their suits. And God's spoken to his flock of gullible morons. Send me more money, and the blind will see, and the lame will walk, and the NHS will give out free lobotomy reversals for people who like to watch football. I'm sorry. God, broke wind then, man. I'm only joking, John. Okay, Dave Hall too. I'm kidding. All right. I know you both love the ball game of the country. Only kidding. Oh, it's just what I'm saying is there's been moments, all right, in my present life where I've experienced a little peace of mind and genuine positivity without having to fork out for a drink or drugs or having to have an orgasm and shoot my load, okay? And I sometimes now get reminded of the times when I'd be detoxing and coming down off whatever shit I put in my body, you know, after making a complete twat of myself and saying or doing something that I was deeply ashamed of, curled up in the fetal position in bed, praying for forgiveness and asking to be able to face this world without having to get wrecked all the time and feeling suicidal whenever I was sober. Oh, please, God, please, just let me get my head straight. I can't take feeling like this anymore. Please, I just need the strength to sober up, get my head straight and have some peace of mind. That's all I ask for, some peace of mind, because I can't go on living like this anymore. God, please, I need your help, please. I need your help. I honestly did not think I'd be alive by the time I got into my 50s. I was certain I was going to be dead. Sure, I've had a stroke. Okay, my left side is pretty much fucked at the moment. And I ain't recovering as fast as I thought I would. And yeah, it's getting me down. Okay, it's fucking getting me really down. But, you know, there are most definitely times when I have had a little peace of mind. Okay, now more often than not. And I like being sober. You know, I almost feel embarrassed to say that for some stupid reason. You know, bit of the old me, you know, because before I'd be like, oh, what the why the fuck would anybody in their own mind go into work or want to exist on this planet being sober? How dull is that? You know, I thought I was some sort of rebel, you know, getting involved in dodgy deals and hanging around with the big boys, you know, a line here, a pill there, you know, a couple of drinks, 60 tabs in one evening. Hey, yeah, this bird, she wants to sleep with me. Whoa. Yeah, I'd wake up the next day, I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, where's my wallet? Where's the woman? I gotta pay for my room and my money's gone. I ain't got the stomach for that shit, you know. I'm too soft and I'm too fucking gullible. And now I want to be sober, alright? Admittedly, I do like to get my hands on the occasional weed edible, but it does feel great to be able to wake up in the morning without a hangover or having to wrang my fingers down my throat, you know, to get rid of whatever fucking cheap-ass vodka or amphetamine wrapped up in a Rizzler I got swirling round in my gut, making me hallucinate while I'm at work, emptying hundreds of bins at the depot, feeling sick. Man, it's just, the world's a better place now. Now I'm sober. All right, Britain is a better place. I mean, sure, there's the same horrible shit that always has been and always will be, but it's easier to absorb and deal with when you get a straight head on. As boring as that may seem, I know there's millions of other people on the interweb banging on about their sobriety, and it grates. It grates with me as well. But, I can't deny the results. Man, I never thought in a million fucking years, that I would ever feel this good psychologically up in my head. This is the best I have felt since I was 6 years old, as far as my mind is concerned, and sometimes it's comforting to think that the reason that I feel so good now is maybe because of a prayer I said back then when I was feeling my worst. Okay, saying that, I did pray for people to be killed as well when I was younger, and they did die prematurely, which is part of the reason why I have been blocking out the overwhelming feeling of guilt for the last 25 years. So, interpret that as you will. All right, swings and roundabouts. I don't know. Well, when all is said and done, sometimes you have to pick and choose in order to create a narrative where you've redeemed yourself because you've finally realised that, you're not as strong, clever, or as innocent as you would like to think you are. And instead of wasting so much time and energy putting on a front and keeping up appearances, it's best to just face your demons and be what you are. Be vulnerable and put a bit of faith into yourself and trust your own feelings on things instead of just being brainwashed and led down the garden path by people who tell you what you want to hear and make you believe that you're part of something and make you feel like things will get better. But when push comes to shove and you're down to the line, okay, they're nowhere to be seen, okay? There we are, a bit of free advice. Either way, I'm trying, Lord. I'm really trying. And I know there are good Christians out there. All right, there's good and bad in everything and everyone, without a doubt. And if that's you, okay, if you're a genuine Christian, I mean no offence whatsoever. And if I've offended you in any way, shape or form during this episode, I apologise. Although, I think a real Christian would already understand this, as I imagine Jesus kind of like it. He kind of likes it when you do your best to be honest and you punch up, okay? You punch up instead of following the crowd for the sake of it. After all, that's what he was all about, wasn't it? I can imagine going, oh, no need to apologise, Kevin, my son. I know that you mean well. It's all the miserable bastards that are looking to be offended that I don't care about offending. The kind of people who pride themselves on making fun of someone who's weaker or more vulnerable than them or from a minority or is different from them because they think it makes them edgy and brave, as if they're standing up against the woke brigade, or some dumb fucking shit like that. Whether it be the mouthy cunt in the workplace who wants to impress the boys and be one of the lads, or some horrible, snidey, hateful person glued to their fucking phone and lashing out from behind their anonymous social media accounts because they're getting triggered by someone having a different opinion than them, and instead of just scrolling on and being mature enough to articulate their own opinion in a way that contributes to moving things forward, alright, they got to go for the lowest common denominator and say something about your personal appearance, Oh yeah, well, what's your point, fatty? Or did you eat that too? Yeah, it took me a whole day to come up with that one. Clever, you see, clever. Do you hear what I said? I called him fatty. Yeah. No, you're not clever, you're just obvious and fucking basic. Man, I know I've said this in previous episodes, but I'm going to keep on saying it because it's very fucking true. But it seems that when I was getting a lot of abuse on Facebook, when this was originally just a Facebook channel, okay, and the odd negative, now when I get the odd negative comment that comes trickling in when I'm posting shorts to advertise this shit, okay? The same blokes that talk about people being oversensitive nowadays, oh, you can't say anything now, are the same ones that get all triggered and go on the defensive. What did he say? What did he say? I'm a Christian. What did he say about Christian? Yeah. Why can't he say something about Muslims instead? He was making fun of football a couple of episodes ago. Football helps to boost the economy of every city when their teams are playing at home. And this helps local businesses to thrive on match day. And this fat loser has the audacity to poke fun at it. Yeah, I bet he's never put as much money into the economy as football has over the years. Yeah, it's people like him that are ruining this great country by making fun of the things that I like and mocking the things that I enjoy. Yeah, it's not fair. It shouldn't be allowed. I don't like it when people are saying things about the things I like. Oh, shut up, you fucking fanny. I'm taking the piss. Isn't that part of our culture that you keep on saying we're supposed to be proud of? Why have we only got to make fun of the things you want to make fun of, you fucking snowflake? Stop using Britishness when it only suits you, alright? It's not just your country, you selfish twat. I pay my taxes as well. Now stop it with the hard-faced fucking attitude. Nowadays you just got to throw a bit of humanity into an argument or offer a different opinion and you're either a communist lefty or you're virtue signalling. Listen to him. Listen to him standing up for the people I don't like. Yeah, he's virtue signalling, he is. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's virtue signalling. Yeah, which is a phrase that they've probably heard on whatever fucking news channel or fucking cunting podcast they've been listening to in between knocking their top off to sports bloopers. Before that, the same people wouldn't even know what a virtue is. Yeah, I do. Yeah. A virtue is a person that has never had sex. Yeah, that's what a virtue is. A virtue is a person that's never had sex. See, you can win with some people. No matter what, they will never agree and you'll always be wrong. Especially as far as religion and politics are concerned. It's like being back in the dark ages where men would appoint themselves as generals and as being spokespersons for God, and they'd throw women into a pond with their hands tied behind their backs, and if she didn't float, it meant she was a fucking witch. If you're not on this team, then you must be on that team. If you're not this, then you must be that. Left, right, up, down, around the corner, down the fucking U-bend. I'm confused. You could have a different opinion about the economy, immigration. All right, you might just support a different football team or live in a different part of the country you were born in. And this will be ample enough reason for people to hate your guts. And there's nothing you can say or do to get them to see it your way, okay? They will just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. And if you start to poke holes in their argument, they'll always revert back to using those that are not even alive anymore to make their point. As if they're speaking on their behalf to help justify themselves being a cunt. You know, even though they're not really, they're not really making any proper sense regarding what the actual problem is. You know, it's just about winning an argument so they can go, ha, beat you, yeah, I beat him, I did, yeah, I beat him, we won. Yeah, you know, it's like some sort of twisted logic designed to make you look unpatriotic or like a bad Christian, when deep down, you know, you just want the best from everyone, for everyone. How do you think your grandparents would feel if they could see you upholding the very same values that they fought for in World War II? How do you think Jesus would feel if he could see you spreading a message of love and tolerance? Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I don't know why you're getting so angry. I'm doing my best to adhere to my values that I believe are both British and Christian, and you know, I thought this is what we were. I'm confused. Oh, did you hear what he said, lads? Did you hear what he said? He said he's confused. Yeah, he's confused. Well, you know what they say about a man who says he's confused? Yeah, don't we, lads? Yeah, in my book of unwritten rules, it says that any man who says he's confused because people are getting mad at him for upholding the exact values that they themselves claim to stand for is a traitor and an enemy of the state. I bet you he voted for Keir Starmer. I wonder what football team he supports. I wonder what football team he supports. Fucking, I give up. It's like trying to plait fog. And they just keep on bringing up the same old shit when you're just having your say. Okay, and if it doesn't fall in line with what they think, okay, you know, they act as if you're committing treason or being respectful to the war dead, just because they can't have it all their own way. Whereas you're just trying to have your say, you know, without, you haven't got any real agenda, alright, you know, beyond simply expressing yourself. It's not like you're asking for money or being slimy enough to quote passages from the fucking Bible. You know, if it doesn't align with whatever they probably won't shut the fuck up about in their living rooms to their bored, miserable wives that haven't been fucked in months, you know, if it goes against whatever they're constantly flapping their gums about in the pub, you know, they always drag up those that are not around to speak for themselves as if they're the ones who are qualified to speak up on their behalf. How do you think those who fought and died in the Second World War would feel about the way this country is going? Really? Well, I think they'd be amazed. I genuinely think they'd be amazed. Completely bowled over with pride and happy to be alive, okay? Sorry to pop your big bubble of outrage and concern for those you've never met and, you know, because you weren't even born and therefore, just like me, haven't got the fucking foggiest fucking idea about what they'd think or how they'd feel. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that modern day Britain would be beyond their wildest expectations, beyond their wildest dreams, and that they'd be happy to see us all enjoying the things that they themselves could not enjoy, and much, much, much more. They'd be like, what do you mean there's a television in almost every... Colour television? There's no such thing as a colour television. What do you mean? What do you mean you're going upstairs for a shower? Shower? Upstairs? Oh, there's no such thing as a National Health Service, is there? You know, what we now take for granted wouldn't have even been a concept in their imaginations. I mean, you know, even when I was a kid, okay, the thought of having a phone with a camera on it that you could see other people on the other side of the world as you were talking to them in real time was something you'd only see on Star Trek or Logan's Run. And you'd be sad, they'd be like, oh, come on, that's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? talking to each other on a television screen from their living rooms. Come on, it's a bit corny, isn't it? Bloody ridiculous. Then again, saying that, seeing how prudish it was back then, okay, can you imagine how a man from the 1940s would react if he saw the kind of hardcore pornography that this generation has grown up with on their phones? You have a fucking heart attack. But like, hey, Grandad, this is a good one. 3 BBC and a housewife. Oh, BBC? What do you mean, BBC? The British Broadcasting Corporation? No, that BBC. Big black cocks. 3 of them and 1 housewife. Okay, that's 3 big black men with big black cocks fucking a housewife in all her holes. All at the same time while her husband happily watches, wanks and films it on his phone in 4K ultra high definition, edits down and uploads for the entire world to watch and wank over if they should so wish. Here, have a look. Oh, I can't take it. It's too much. Turn it off. It's too much. Man, personally, okay, I think that if the war dead, okay, could see the kind of people, the politicians that use their sacrifice as an excuse to manipulate their lineage into serving their interests and the interests of the kind of cowardly fucking men in suits that stand behind podiums and will most definitely be nowhere to be fucking seen if the bombs start dropping again. Okay, that's when they would think it was all for nothing. That's when they'd think it was all for nothing. Okay, that's when they'd think it was all for nothing. And along with Jesus Christ himself, they would tell them to keep their names out of their fucking mouths. They'd be like, here, don't speak for me, you fucking cheeky cunt. How dare you? This country is fucking amazing compared to when I was around. I've had 4 showers already this morning and 5 wanks over my phone. Yeah, you had to get married to a woman before you could see a pair of tits back in my day. Now I just got to go on my phone and I can see everything. Tits, fannies and arses all over the gaff. It's fucking amazing. I don't know what you're all moaning about. Keep my name out of your fucking mouths, you fucking ungrateful cunts. Yeah, I'm done with all the negativity, alright? Life's hard enough as it is, and I'm too old, I'm too tired, and I don't feel well. Alright, the rich will always fuck over the poor and manipulate us. End of story, okay? As long as you're not hurting anybody and just enjoy whatever it is you enjoy. Alright, think whatever you want to think, alright? We're all going to be fucking dead one day. And none of this is going to matter. I don't care about all your doom and gloom anymore. I'm fucking sick of hearing it. Oh, it's going to be a nuclear war with Russia. Yeah, Kev, there's going to be a nuclear war with Russia. So? I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. There was going to be a nuclear war back then. Oh, remember that? The Protect and Survive adverts on the television. If you hear this warning, this means that a nuclear attack is imminent. Hey, rock and roll! Man, I always wanted it to happen. Okay, back then, I was praying for it to happen every night. I wanted to look out my window in the morning and see my high school get blown off of its foundations. You know, windows exploding from the shock wave and the surrounding trees like bending. I didn't care. Every generation should have the threat of nuclear war. Alright, this is the second time round for Generation X, and I'll put my money on the outcome being business as usual. I don't think it's going to happen. Alright, and if there's anybody watching this, okay, and you're worried about there being a nuclear war, because I know there are, alright, there are a lot of people talking about it, alright, if you on the street, down the shops, amongst family and friends, social media, don't give it a second thought. It's not really going to be that much of a disaster, okay, that people are making it out to be. Alright, in the event of a nuclear war, alright, all you have to do is take all the doors in your house off all the hinges, lean them up diagonally against the wall and crawl underneath them, okay? And if you can't be asked doing that, just hide under the stairs until the bomb's gone off. All right, and after a couple of days, once the dust has settled, you can just, come back out, gather in the street with all your neighbours, talk about the blast, smoke a cigarette, have some drinks. If the local supermarket has been destroyed, go down, take all the stuff and share it amongst yourselves. It's probably going to be the most exciting thing that's ever happened, and it'll bring us all together. None of all this left, right, my team, your team, divisive bollocks. No more social media and spreading of fear and hatred, alright? Just human beings working together to rebuild civilization. Okay, stop being so negative and live a little, you fucking pussies. And, and even if you don't survive, okay, it's not going to hurt. If you're outside doing your shopping and you can't get home in time, and, just send a blanket text to all your contacts on your phone, light up a cigarette, have a wank, there'll just be a big flash of light, okay, and a loud bang. Everybody will have an open-eyed, open-mouthed expression on their face, and they'll look like X-rays for a couple of seconds. It'll suddenly get hot, okay? You'll fill your pants, and then the EastEnders theme tune will start playing over all the screams. Anyone can fall in love. Oh, that's the easy part. You must keep it going. Over. It's a win-win situation, if you think about it, okay? If you die during the blast, you'll be dead. And if you survive, you won't have to get up in the morning and go to work. Stock up on tinned food, stay away from the fish, and start reading all the books you bought in the past but never got round to reading, alright? You'd swear it was the end of the world, the way some people are carrying on. Where's your Dunkirk spirit? Oh, yeah. You won't be saying that. Listen to him joke, yeah. You won't be saying that when you're staring into the eyes of your loved ones while you're waiting for the bomb to drop. Oh, God, ring-a-ding-ding. Well, of course I won't. What else am I going to do? Am I going to get in a flap like you and spend what time I got left stating the obvious to try and make other people feel as scared as I am when they're already scared enough as it is? And you the guys that constantly banging on about being British? Or does that just count when you're commenting from behind an anonymous account? Or, banging on about a war that you had absolutely fuck all to do with? Be British enough to have a sense of humour about it, you fucking tool. It's all fun and games when it's a country of innocent brown people being bombed. But yeah, so you could just get a whiff of a threat on social media, and the people over here, they fucking fall apart, lose control. You fuck. Well, I gotta wait, man. Where was I? I don't care if it's gonna be the end of the world, alright? And besides, I had to work every day through COVID. A once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic for 2.5 years straight. I had to work all the way through it. Up to my ankles in human waste, while all you pussies were sitting on your asses, glued on your fucking phones, arguing about statues and vaccines, regurgitating whatever propagandized bullshit that came up in your feed. Oh the COVID-19 spike, the spike protein, COVID protein spike, and whatever else I came up on my phone that I memorised to try and give people the impression that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not taking the vaccine. I'm not. I'm not taking the vaccine. Did I tell everyone? I'm not taking it. Hello, you sheeple. I'm not taking the vaccine. Hello. Nobody's listening to me. There's going to be a war with Russia. There's going to be a nuclear war with Russia. Already I can feel people rolling their eyes up in their head with a tongue. Oh, here he goes again, talking about the pandemic. It was 5 years ago, Kev. You need to get over it and move on. Okay, fair enough. Well then, shut the fuck up about World War II and shut the fuck up about the fucking crucifixion, you dismissive cunts. Okay, I can't help it. It's made me bitter. There's so many moments that are stuck in my brain, and every so often they come up, and it takes time to push them back down. It's like post-traumatic stress disorder. All right, that's the last time that I ever go above and beyond for an employer, unless it benefits me. I didn't get my lockdown. I didn't get my furlough. I performed my civic duty with pride. When I received my essential worker pass, I felt like I had purpose in all of this. And I had absolutely no problem whatsoever with having to scrape shit and blood from the bottom of hundreds and thousands of bins with a toothbrush, because the machine in which we usually wash those bins wasn't working. And as unpleasant, as dirty and dangerous and mind-numbingly tedious as that was, I didn't mind doing it, because I knew that those bins were going back into the care homes with all the old-timers and the hospitals with all the ill people, and the people of Wales needed those bins to be clean, and it was my job to do it, and I felt proud for a bit. And I can't get that moment out of my head. When I was sat in front of the television waiting, eating my cornflakes one morning before going into work, and had to see the footage of that Matt Hancock fella necking on with some bird. After I've spent, every day isolated from my family because of the job I was doing, and them both being high risk, and also we had a pregnancy in the family. The constant washing of hands in the workplace with strong alcohol-based sanitizer brought in from all the breweries, that I had to put on my hands when we were going from one room to the other. I accidentally got some on my bell end when I was taking the piss, making it burn like fuck. The skin on my hands was red raw and peeling because of the lack of PPE. The constant pain in the ass with the social distancing. Like, oh, sorry, 2 meter rule, sorry. Having to eat my lunch next to rats that were getting fat off all the tons of filth that was coming into the depot on a daily basis from all over South Wales and beyond. My Wellington boots filling up with dirty brown and red water infecting all my foot. Having to get inside the back of a shit-filled, shit-smeared refuse truck to throw hundreds and hundreds of burst bags full of shit-filled nappies from all the care homes because the pistons on the crusher had stopped working. And the manager was too afraid to ask the blue suit, brown shoes, neatly trimmed corporate cocksucking cunts at head office if they could pay for the mechanic to come out and fix it again, because it was the third refuse truck that had been broken down already in the week, and because those blue suit, brown shoes, neatly trimmed beard, corporate cocksucking fucking cunts haven't got the minerals to understand that when the main function of the company that you're in charge of is to deal and manage with waste from all the hospitals and the care homes, and because there's a global pandemic going on where the waste from all the hospitals and the care homes is being produced in an unprecedented amount, and the trucks that are being used to collect, crush and transport that unprecedented amount of waste have been in operation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 18 months, they're more than liable, they're liable to break down more often than usual, and the company should be more than ready and willing to fork out for them to be repaired at any given moment, instead of expecting muggins here to climb in the back of that shit-covered truck and do it manually for a fucking minimum wage. Man. Oof, calm down. Yeah, I punch my cunt out and I work myself into the ground doing those 2.5 years, okay? My hip and my foot from the infection are fucked still. Yeah, I had to take morphine from tons of pharmaceutical waste that was coming in to do the job that was fucking me up in the first place. You know, but because I'm one of these dumb fucking men, these dumb fucking Welsh British men, I'm one of those dumb fucking cunts who got to be seen to be an asset to the species and to the country by killing myself to live because, well, that's what a real man does. Yeah, a real man doesn't worry about health and safety when he's paying his taxes and making a contribution to society. No, a real man just gets on with it. Yeah, I'm from Generation X, I am. We never had none of this woke nonsense when I first started work. Yeah, all these youngsters with their demands for health and safety in the workplace and the need to be treated with respect by their peers. It's making this country soft, that's what it's doing. It's making this country soft. How do you think those that fought and died in the Second World War would feel if they could see this generation standing up for themselves? Huh? How do you think they'd feel? Yeah, a real man just bends over a pub bench and takes it. Knock back a beer, chop a line out, have a sniff, you know, let the rich man pull down your pants from behind, spread your cheeks. Yeah, none of this teasing your hole with the tip nonsense and gently pushing it in to help you adjust to the discomfort. No, it's just spit on it and thrust. Oh, you ever seen that movie Deliverance with Burt Reynolds and the guy from The Champ? You know, when that fat bloke gets shafted by a hillbilly? Squeal, boy, squeal like a pig. Yeah, it's like that, only the man that's shafting you is a millionaire. Yeah, and he says things that give you hope when you're being shafted. And when it hurts, he gives you a plastic flag for you to wave. And if you wave it hard enough, and you say the Lord's Prayer at the same time, it takes your mind off the pain. And the moment that you both shout out, Amen, oh, Amen, yeah, and then, you know, you stop it as you have a fag, knock back another pint, and then you just get back to work. Yeah, none of this vaping bollocks, you know, like this lot with their custard cream flavoured liquids. Yeah, that was me. That was exactly what I was like. Alright, you know, younger people in the workplace would come up to me, they'd be like, Kev, we need to down tools, mate, okay? They're taking the piss out of us. It's below zero weather and they won't get the heating fixed. You know, this company makes millions, but my hands are frozen. What are you talking about, your hands are frozen? God, listen to this kid. Of course your hands are frozen. It's the middle of winter. What do you expect? Sunshine and warmth? Go upstairs, boil the kettle and just put your hands on either side of it for a couple of minutes, you fucking pussy. Man, you know, these youngsters nowadays don't know they're born. You know, how do you think those that fought and died in World War II were feeling when their hands were cold? Oh, what about Jesus? You didn't hear him complaining about his hands and he got holes in the both of them. Yeah, all the while I'd be there with my protective goggles on so that nobody could see that I was crying from it being so cold and because my private life was miserable because I couldn't get it up because of all the drink and whatnot. You know, it was that attitude of like, well, if I'm feeling pain, then everybody's going to be feeling pain. Yeah, you know, if I got to take it, then everybody else got to take it. If you can't stand the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. Yeah, no wonder this country is going down the pan with all these workers demanding their human rights. This is not a country of men. Yeah, my grandfather would be absolutely ashamed if he was to see his only grandson standing up for himself against the cunts at head office instead of pretending to be an alpha at the expense of his own health and the health of others. Yeah, he'd think it was all for nothing. He would think... Wait a minute, I'm confused. Would he? Oh, I'm confused. Confused! You know, and then when everything went back to normal, I got made redundant and I had a stroke. And here I am talking about it again. Saying that, the manager did take some money out of petty cash and bought us all a bacon roll from Greg's one day. So, you know, yeah, there's a silver lining, I guess. You know, my point being, alright, is, you know, all you should be concerned about is your health and the health of those around you, mental and physical. Okay, we're only here for a short time. This country will always be here, even if the nuclear bomb does drop. You, me, and everybody else, we're all temporary. And this might very well be all that there is. Sorry. Okay, and based on that very big possibility alone, I am done giving a shit. I don't give a toss anymore. I do not give a fuck. Alright, I worked all my life. I paid my taxes. I stepped up to the plate when it was needed and did the best that I could for little. And it didn't matter to the kind of people that tell you that you should care about things and got the power to dictate what you can and cannot do and tell you how you should think and how you should feel in order to be respected and considered, when they really don't give a fuck about any of us and have always had more than most of us. You know, we're just slave workers and cannon fodder to them, so fuck them. You know, I say, let's have a new start. Okay, scrap all this traditionalist nonsense. Get with the times and inject some new blood into the power structure instead of all these old miserable spoilt cunts in suits that got the gall to say that they speak for us and for generations past, when they'd be the first to dodge the draft and the last to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty. You know, unless there's a photo opportunity, or, you know, they've been interviewed on television at a hospital or a factory, or they're wearing a high-vis and a hard hat on a building site when talking about a new building project for big business, of course. You know, while there's homeless war veterans sleeping rough in all our cities. You know, it's easy to fill your bosom with patriotism and national pride and spout off a load of warmongering bollocks about bravery and about sacrifice when it's not you and it's not your kids being sent to fight or signing up because they're at an age where they're gullible enough to be groomed into thinking that what they're doing is for the good of their country, when really it's to serve the interests of cowardly cunts with their fucking black tie dinners and business deals. And any British man, okay, worth his salt, who is a multi-millionaire and talks about pride in Britain, okay, that isn't looking for a way to confer with other British men that are also multi-millionaires about making plans to, at the very least, develop small housing estates on the outskirts of all the cities, or on plots of land that they themselves may own, to house homeless war veterans and pay for on-site mental health professionals to help them process any trauma that they may have, and create a small community of like-minded people with the same experiences, with a little shopping precinct and other amenities, and create a haven for other soldiers from future generations to deal with the realities of life after war and integrate back into civilian life properly, instead of just getting them to do your dirty work and then just having them in the gutters for the dogs to piss on. It isn't a patriot. He's just a fucking businessman. He doesn't give a fuck. Oh, come on, Kev. You know, come on. You know, how about all the millionaires and the billionaires all over the world try to create a world where we don't have to have any fucking wars? You're just being childish now. Yeah, you're being unrealistic. Yeah, I suppose I am, considering the sort of cunts that are always in charge. And, at the very least, to start, give us a politician that wants to legalise weed and most other drugs, if you ask me. All right, everybody's doing drugs anyway, especially the younger generations of the families of all the politicians that are against legalisation. As a matter of fact, they're fucking worse. There's no war on drugs, okay? It's just a clear-cut case of those who can afford it and those that can't. It's everywhere. You just got to walk down the street and you can smell weed coming out of all the houses and the flats. You just get high enough just walking down to the shops. You haven't got to travel to Colombia or Mexico to buy cocaine. It's being sold everywhere. People are never going to stop buying it. Why are we only allowed to take the drugs that all these old fuckers like, when there's better and more enjoyable drugs out there? Oh, these kids nowadays, yeah, with their drugs, bloody terrible. What? Why have we got to create the kind of world to cater for those that are on their way out and strive to keep things the same as they always were, for the sake of those that are already long dead and gone, instead of making it more contemporary for the ones that are coming into this existence, so that the younger generations will be more inclined to grow up with a bit more respect for their elders, because their elders chose to make life easier and more enjoyable for them and more peaceful, instead of being a fucking stick in the mud and accepting that time moves on. And we're a species that's meant to evolve, instead of all this fucking traditional usual get married, have children, buy a car, because that's what everybody else does since time immemorial. Even though it very rarely works out, and is usually the reason why the vast majority of British people end up becoming miserable, bitter and alcoholic cunts, taking it out on those that are in their families that are younger by encouraging them to do exactly the fucking same. Fucking stroll on. Oh, you got to get married in a church. Yeah, no daughter of mine is getting married in a registry office or having one of those humanist ceremonies, for people on the left. Oh, what does it matter, you miserable old cunt? Alright, they'll probably be divorced within a year because her husband doesn't want a father-in-law who's such a fucking cunt. Just fork out for the party and have a good kneeser. Why the fuck have you got to get the church involved? God doesn't care whether people get married in a church or not. He's got more important things to worry about than your daughter's wedding. Alright, he's got too much admin to deal with. He probably doesn't even know you and your daughter fucking exist. Oh, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, for sickness and health, to death and stupid. Fuck off. And, if you look back at all the old wedding videos from back in the late 1970s, the 80s and the early 90s, before digital cameras became mainstream, okay, if you carefully study and zoom in on the background of these videos, okay, in a lot of them, you'll see Jesus up on the cross during the service, shaking his head. As if to say, oh my God, Dad, I can't believe that I went through all this pain and agony for these stupid cunts. Oh, they're completely missing the point. Oh, what right. Well, I've got to stop now because I'm going to throw up, okay? I can't go back on it and redo it, so I hope you get the gist of it, alright? I hope you've all had a lovely Easter, and I hope April's a good month for you all, and, whoever you voted for, you get what you want, and just, I'll see you in the next episode, okay? Peace and love to everyone. Love you, bye.